Kia ora. That means welcome in the native language Te reo Māori in New Zealand. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you some thoughts from New Zealand in regards to innovation and technology and where it is taking our world. I thought I'd start with what is the vision for innovation in New Zealand and how could we potentially collaborate with India in the future. Our organisation is called Callaghan Innovation. We are New Zealand's innovation agency for government, and we are named after a renowned physicist, Sir Paul Callaghan. His vision was that 100 entrepreneurs could turn our country around in regards to creating wealth, increasing our productivity, and therefore being able to significantly shape not just our economic but our social and well-being indicators in the future. A big part of our focus is how we transition our economy from in terms of using our resources, our natural resources, and we stop exploiting those and we turn it into a productive, sustainable economy, which has a high proportion of exports around knowledge and IP. So that probably is the place that we could start in regards to collaboration with India around technology. So the sorts of sectors that we are focused on is food and fibre and how we move into a high-value food space, move into preventative nutrition. Along the way, agri-tech in regards to how we utilise our land use in regards to far more sustainable practices and bringing technology into that. Medical technologies is a massive opportunity for the next 2 decades, and with the rising cost of healthcare and an ageing population, we've got some significant challenges there. So there's a big focus here on a whole range of medical technology, from devices, from software, and as I said, preventative nutrition. Industry 4 is another big focus for us in terms of how we bring more manufacturing back in New Zealand, given the opportunities that things like robotics bring to do more small-scale manufacturing, so we're able to compete efficiently and competitively with the rest of the globe. And the other one really is around clean technology in regards to New Zealand as a country that already has around 90% of its electricity that comes from renewable resources. We have a great platform in terms of driving sustainability, not just in our country, but around the world. And so that is a big focus for our innovators and entrepreneurs in New Zealand. In fact, we've just run a C Prize on the environment, and we've found 10 amazing companies that will launch and take their ideas to the world. Also, we are a great opportunity for a test bed. So if large companies are wanting to trial clean tech or med tech under the radar and test, we are a sophisticated country. We do a lot of that work under the radar, as I said, in terms of companies getting their ideas to market and testing them. Let's have a quick chat about the fourth industrial internet revolution. I mean, it's already well on its way, and the COVID-19 pandemic has just accelerated that and put fuel on that. We are seeing a proliferation of technology come through our organisations, and that's just going to increase over the next decade or so as that technology mainstreams. We're also seeing that technology hit with some pretty big changes. We have an ageing population in New Zealand, putting massive pressure on our superannuation and healthcare systems. Also, as you know, societal values are changing globally, and the environment is a big focus for all of us. And so we've got kind of like the perfect storm of change driven by the fourth industrial internet revolution for the next 2 decades. And we've spent quite a lot of time in New Zealand in the Innovation Agency looking at what life looks like in 2040 and what we are building towards in regards to the innovation and technology coming through our society. A core part of that is what innovation skills that we need for the future, and how do we operate in that. And I guess the key learnings from New Zealand in regards to the successes that we're seeing and the entrepreneurs that are out there competing on the world stage is that innovation must be purpose and values aligned. So we have some pretty passionate entrepreneurs about solving some of the world's challenges. So when we have that purpose in an organisation, that puts innovation and success on steroids. We're also seeing a big shift in terms of collaboration and platforms, that our innovators know that they can't make it on their own anymore. And so how they are collaborating, not just with other Kiwi companies, but other people around the world. In our science sector, we're seeing a significant move to multidisciplinary teams. I mean, as you know, the world has got so complex, so volatile, so unpredictable, that the more disciplines and the more brains around the table, the better shot we have at using innovation and technology to solve our challenges. We are seeing a lot of adoption of agile practices in organisations to support innovation, to deal with more volatility and uncertainty. And at Callaghan Innovation, our fundamental belief is that agile is going to hit government at a rate of knots through the next decade. We're also seeing much more around regenerative systems thinking, so seeing a solution as part of a system or an ecosystem. So that is a skill of the future that we see growing significantly. We're going to see around 44% of our job activities automated through the next decade, so a lot of work to be done to upskill, reskill and shift our workforce. At Callaghan Innovation, we have a couple of initiatives that support that. We get in schools early in terms of things like the Wonder Project, and we teach them about technology coming and get them interested and work towards getting them into STEM sectors. And we also have student grants as students come out of universities to help place them into businesses, get that work experience and get their career on the way. So there's a lot of work that we need to do in terms of innovation skills in the future. I'm aware that India already does a lot of work in regards, and a lot of great work in regards to ensuring that you are skilling your people for this technological revolution. So perhaps that's another opportunity for collaboration. In terms of the big trends that we are seeing coming through at a technology level, obviously, Internet of Things and sensors, for example, is huge. That leads on to autonomous, and we're seeing a lot of autonomous starting to come through. And we've got some trials in regards to autonomous vehicles. We've got a few entrepreneurs who are standing up autonomous vehicles, and we actually, one of them, Omeo, launched their first autonomous vehicle in South Korea completely remotely through the pandemic. We're seeing a lot of activity around robotics. So, obviously more uptake of robots in homes, but also in New Zealand in terms of our agriculture, seeing a lot of work of how robots can get out there in regards to agriculture, horticulture, picking our fruit, sorting our fruit, presenting it on the world stage, etc. So a lot of work happening in the robotics space. We are seeing more and more in the preventative nutrition and the end-to-end health analytics space in regards to being able to kind of measure and track where you're at, to being able to do self-diagnosis, right through to then how you manage your health with your GP. So they're the sorts of things. We're seeing some pretty innovative work in the space sector. So we stood up a space sector in New Zealand over the last decade. So there's all sorts of technologies that are mainstreaming in our country as they are around the world. In terms of the future of business, I just thought I'd share some thoughts from us and what that looks like. We believe we are heading to a micro-job economy. In New Zealand, we've had people who are in the workforce who have tended to have, mainly one job for a reasonable amount of time. We're definitely starting to see a shift away from that. They might work for a company or an organisation 3 days a week. They might have their own company. They might be doing some social entrepreneur work. So a bigger shift to the micro-job economy, which brings with it quite some challenges in how you regulate our traditional workforce and migrate it towards that. We're seeing a lot in the diversity and inclusion space in regards to a rise in female entrepreneurs and a rise in the Māori economy space in terms of how our iwi take their assets and apply more technology and innovation. And as we do that, we're seeing some really interesting, innovative solutions starting to come out, and I think that's a really, really great thing for the world. We're seeing a massive shift to platforms, not being able to compete on your own, but partnering up as part of platforms. And I think the other one is a lot around collaborations in regards to collaborating with a range of people rather than going it alone in terms of how we used to do business. So my final thought is really around a question on technology conglomerates and where we go with that. By 2040, we did some work which showed that 20 of the 30 top economic powers in the world would actually be multinational technology corporations. And so we're having to start to think around how we might trade with those organisations rather than just traditionally trading with countries, how we regulate along the way. And you can see in Australia the work that they're trying to do in regards to Facebook, in regards to regulation there. So I think this is a rising trend. We will see more and more of them. They're becoming increasingly powerful. And my view is that countries do need to work out how we set up trade deals with them, how we keep our regulations at pace with what they want to do. So I'm sure you're seeing that as well. So thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today. I hope your conference goes really, really well. Kia kaha, kia maia, kia manawa nui. That means stay strong, be willing, be steadfast. Kia ora, take care from New Zealand.